Hello YouTube friends and subscribers. What we've got today is a do-it-yourself plumbing exercise where the lady in this house has a little bit of mobility difficulties. So we're going to install or attempt to install what is known as a comfort height WC. So we're going to remove this regular WC, which I think is a rocker, and we're going to change it for one that has a slightly higher seat. Now the first thing to do obviously is turn the water supply off. So using your big screwdriver, just put it in the isolating valve, turn the slot to horizontal, and that stops the water supply. Flush the toilet and then empty the remaining water that you will find in the cistern, just using a sponge and a container. Bail that out so there's no water in there slopping about when we remove this WC and cistern from the wall. Next thing to do is get your grips and spanner and disconnect the old flexible hose, just using your regular tools. And then you can take the screws out of the pan that fix it to the floor, and we're going to disconnect the overflow, which is under here, and then we should be able to extract the pan and the cistern from the wall. Obviously when you disconnect this, there's going to be some water sitting about, so just make sure you've got your container in the most favourable position you can find. Somewhere there, and that's that. While you're under here, you can just unwind these wing nuts, and that will separate the cistern from the actual pan, if you want to do that now. That is, it's not compulsory, but if you like to take the lid off, you can, and then it's going to give somewhere to stand the cistern when we remove that. With the overflow disconnected and the flexible hose disconnected that size, the big screws taken out at the back, this should just lift off like that. So that is your cistern disconnected. No silicone. So now with the cistern gone and the screws out, all we need to do is just pull the pan towards us, and that will extract it from that pan connector. When you pick the toilet pan up, you will get the water that is still inside this pan is going to come sluicing out the back end of that spigot. So this is why you need to have your container ready to catch that bit of water that's still living in the pan. So just ease the pan out there gently. It will come. Yeah. And there's half the water gone on the floor. Sorry about that, madam. This is why you need your sponges handy, or the handy folding bucket. I've got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me. You're so deep in my heart. You're really a part of me. And I've got you under my skin. Now, just in case anybody's interested, Look at that skinny little donut. And that's been on there for 20 years apparently. And has not leaked. Right, so this is the pan connector. Well, it's like an extension. Actually, that is the connector. This is like an extension piece which the rubber seal has ripped out when we pulled the pan out. So I'm going to extract this now and leave the actual angled connector in place at the minute in case we can use it again. Probably not recommended, but we'll just leave it there for the time being. That's well on. Multi-quick. You don't get those anymore. Now, because the lady wants to do some decorating in here, she has asked me, could I disconnect the toilet and then fit the replacement after she's finished her painting. So what I'm going to do is put this bung in the hole here so that we don't get the sewer gases coming up into the habitable rooms. I'll show you how that works. Now this thing is used for commonly for testing the water tightness of underground pipes. You try not to drop it in the hole, obviously. As you turn this handle, it squeezes the rubber until it fits tightly in the hole. Like that. That's what it's supposed to do. So that should seal any fumes coming up from the sewer outside. Now the next thing we're going to do is examine the new WC pan and cistern and just see what we have got. These are the instructions. Oh, well, that's nice. Some lovely brass fittings. And here's the instructions. Clearly marked where everything goes. Right, the first thing we're going to do is take off the wing nut. Try to keep everything in its correct order. That'll help you later. I'm going to take this back nut off. So that now, this is the bit we're going to pass through the cistern from the inside. Silicone is not recommended, and this is a lovely fat juicy dome shaped washer, but in my experience a little smidge of silicone never did any harm to anything. So we're now going to even put a tiny bit of silicone around the dome end then push that thing all the way through the hole. Next, we're going to put the rubber washer on, then the brass washer, then the nut. This is getting silicone too. Yeah, you can cry all you want. And if you happen to have a pipe spanner of the right size, you can pop that on there. I don't know what size that is, 9 and 11, so it's obviously a 10mm. Yeah, it's a 10mm nut. So just hold it steady and tighten it on the inside. If you want, you can attempt to put some silicone directly up around the hole. A light smear around that dome-shaped washer. It probably doesn't need it, to be honest, because it's a nice juicy rubber washer. So the rubber washer goes first, and then the metal washer on top of the rubber washer. And just give that a little bit of gunk. And that'll squish down on there. Just tighten that up. Now the next thing we're going to fit is the float mechanism. The float mechanism has a hard back nut, a white solid washer and a soft rubber washer. They're on the outside of the fitting, and on the inside the water, we've got this dome-shaped washer again, made of rubber, and that's what's going to seal the water from inside your cistern from dripping out. So we take this back nut off, and then we can pass this through the cistern and come out that hole at the bottom there, which I hope you can see, and then tighten up using the back nut. Again, I'm going to whack some gunk on here. Right, that is that gunked up well and truly. Like that. Then we're going to put the soft rubber washer first. Then we're going to put the hard washer and the back nut. But first, yeah, you've already guessed this, haven't you? We're going to give it some silicone. You might just want to put your grips on that. You're not supposed to over tighten these plastic fittings, obviously, but you do want it to feel nice and snug. Okay, now comes the installation of the flush valve. Complicated looking piece of kit, but very effective. 100% plastic except for these rubber water sealing washers. Now, what does it say? Turn the flush valve body anti-clockwise to part it from the flush valve cradle. Okay, well, we can do that anti-clockwise. This comes into 2 pieces, which apparently is a good thing. Now, install the flush valve and seal as shown. And that's how it looks on the back end. Actually, these are nice fittings actually. So to put this filler valve in, you just position it and then give it a turn. Now all that leaves us now to do is use this fabulous thing called a donut. Goes between the pan and the cistern, because obviously when you flush the toilet the water comes gushing out of here and it has to go straight down the hole there. Right, the donut is a sort of dish-shaped item. I don't see anything on the instructions which way round it goes, but most of us would take a guess that it sits that way. Now this is your rubber donut, and nice chunky squishy one. If you want to, you can sort of encourage it to just sort of sit on there of its own accord, and then we're going to pick the whole cistern up and sit it on the pan, and that will squish down and allow us to tighten these brass bolts using our wing nuts. Right, so with the donut in place, I'm just going to let the brass bolts pass through those holes, and then the whole weight of the cistern is now bouncing on that donut. And when we tighten the brass bolt and the wing nuts up, that should stabilise that and compress that donut. Now I'm going to be honest, as a DIYer, I've never known quite how hard you crunch that cistern down onto the pan, or whether you're supposed to leave it flopping about a little bit. Okay, I know we're going to fix it to the wall. But it's quite flexible there. You wouldn't want to over tighten it and break something. So I think we might just call that done there. That's the wing nuts tightened up on both sides. That's a connection for the incoming water. It's a good idea to fit your flexible hose before you shove the pan back into its final resting place. That's that on there. Right, we're going to use a McAlpine fitting here, the CON8E. That's going to go into the main soil pipe. Right, we're going to see if we can get this to go down in that pipe there. Now the height of the WC, the centre line, is 180 of its outward. So I think this is roughly how this came out here somewhere. Let's just check that. So 180 is actually higher than that, isn't it? So, joy of joys, I think I'm going to have to cut out a bit more plaster work there. Look at the state of this. Happy days on the DIY. So, in order to get the centre line of the outlet at 180, we're going to have to chop a bit more plaster work out so that we can raise this flipping periscope fitting. Ah dear, happy days. Out comes the bolster. Right, there we are, that's a little bit closer. to what we want. We have a gap between the WC and the connector when the cistern is up against the wall. So we're going to have to bridge this gap here. I'll just open it up a bit for you. So we're going to put a straight connector on the back of the outlet here, and the straight connector will go into this fitting. This is another McAlpine, it's a straight fitting. I think it's known as a Mach 1, original straight fitting. So that will go on there like that. They can be quite resistant when you're putting them on there. Some people like to wet it. Some people even put some fairy liquid on there, which I believe is forbidden. But they can be quite hard to push into place at times. I just wetted around the orifice with just a bit of regular tap water. It went on easier than I thought. I've got you under my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me. You're so deep in my heart. You're really a part of me. Right. Right. I think one way or another we're going to get this to work here. If you've got a spirit level that actually works, you could run it across there. If not, do it by eye. Mark your holes with a short pencil. And now we've got the pan in position, we're going to have to do its fixings. So I've used some masking tape to identify where we're going to be working. I suppose the thing I forgot to do was that. Right, I've determined that the thickness of the pan structure is around about 13 mil. 12, 13, which means that bracket is going to be fixed there. Somewhere there. It has got an adjustment in it. But it'd be good to get it right first time, wouldn't it? So that's where we're going to fix these nylon brackets to the floor. They're good actually, these. Great invention. That's your two brackets fitted. Obviously what you hope now is when you go to slide the pan in, they don't foul anything. Now I've just pushed the pan right the way back. The connectors have gone on nicely, and I've also pulled this fitting towards the pan as well to get it everything nice and snugly in there. I'm confident that that is going to be fine. The cistern holes are drilled and ready to be screwed. Happy days. Don't you just love the DIY plumbing? Come on guys, you can do it. So when you've got the pan nicely in position, you put your screw with the top hat on it, push the top hat into the hole, and then screw that up like that. I don't know where the fixing kits went for this, but we've adapted it to do it in another way, and that is the cistern firmly attached to the wall. Okay, well, we're all connected up, and there's not much else to do except turn the juice on and see how many leaks we've got, I suppose. I don't like to put too much water in the cistern because it just means that's more to bail out if it starts dripping. Just using a little bit of toilet paper to test for any leaks. All seems okay. Check to see if your donut's leaking by just sliding a bit of toilet paper up under there. All seems to be okay. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Hope you found it interesting how to fit a toilet, in this case a comfort toilet, which is a couple of inches higher than regular toilets. Same degree of difficulty, but if you're a DIYer, you'll get over it because you're keen and you want to. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, you'll be able to see what else I get up to in the DIY jobs around the house, around the car, and even some travel videos too. Thanks again for watching.